Punt It Long, episode 12. We'll start off with the cup finals at the weekend. Obviously it was the Scottish Cup final and the FA Cup final. And of course Celtic and Chelsea came out on top in those ties. The cup finals themselves weren't very much to talk about. There wasn't much of a spectacle. It was not really much of a contest. I wouldn't really say they were worth watching. I watched both of them and I would say I could have made better uses of my time. Obviously Celtic were very dominant in their game, as I said in my match review, which you can check out right now in the top right corner if you're interested. I would say Celtic were very dominant in that, and if you hear my match review, if you go back and watch it, you'll basically hear everything I've got to say about that. I just think that Celtic are far better than any competition they're going to have in Scotland in the next few years, as they've already proved in the past few years. I just think that it will take a lot for one team to overtake them. As far as Chelsea and Man United went, it was maybe a bit more 50-50 that game, but it wasn't, as I said, much of a spectacle. For the amount of money that's pumped into an English game, the amount of quality that was actually shown in that game just wasn't what you would expect, given the amount of build-up that these games get. The amount of televised games that's on TV, they all get the same type of build-up, and especially the bigger games, they all get this build-up of the players with the high wages and the best players in the country and stuff, and I personally just didn't see that on Sunday. On to another cup final that happened in the past week or so, can't remember exactly when it was, but it was the DFB Pokal Cup, the German Cup basically, and it was between Frankfurt and Bayern Munich. And for once Bayern Munich weren't dominant in German football and Frankfurt came out on top. 3-1 was the final score, and the final goal sparked absolute scenes on Celtic Club right now.
Actually controversial conclusion. Villains heads it away, and now the charge is on. The goal is empty at the other end. A goal to ensure that Eintracht Frankfurt will win the DFB Cup final.
As you can see, the players went absolutely mental, and that's the type of thing that football is made for. Obviously Frankfurt, the big underdogs in that tie, Bayern Munich probably rightfully so favourites for the tie, and the fact that Frankfurt came out on top, it's a good wee story for the end of the season, and that's what cup finals are all about and can happen on that day. I don't think Frankfurt have beaten Bayern Munich in the league this season, correct me if I'm wrong. On the cup final day Frankfurt did it, and obviously with that video, as I showed you, the scenes were absolutely amazing. On to a club that's had a bit of turmoil in the past few years at least, Sunderland, and they've got themselves a new owner, and his name is Stuart Donald. He made a good first impression with the Sunderland fans. He obviously came in and he had all the positive talk that every new owner does, but it seems that this man has actually came in with a bit of kudos about him, and he's actually going to undertake some of the things that he's saying. He went on a fan media outlet and did a podcast with Roker Report. The guys over there, they're brilliant. I've spoke to them, really nice guys, and they brought out a brilliant podcast. Actually give it a listen, and Stuart Donald was very complimentary of Sunderland as a club and moving forward and stuff, and it looks like Sunderland are going to appoint Jack Ross as the manager. Obviously done so well at St Mirren last season, got the manager of the year for the championship. He definitely will deserve this jump up. It maybe could be a step too quick for him, but you never know. He seemed like a very good manager and very astute and always spoke very well, so I would back him to do a decent enough job at Sunderland, especially with the new ownership. If this was 6 months ago or a year ago, I probably would have said it was about a poisoned chalice, hence the reason why Derek McInnes turned it down, but Jack Ross seems to have chosen that as his new job, and if he does so, I believe he'll do quite well. A legend of the game left Barcelona this week, and it was obviously Andres Iniesta. He had a emotional kind of farewell over the last week or so. I think he had a game where he played his last few minutes and he was crying, and then he actually stayed at the Camp Nou on the pitch until very early in the morning, and there was photos online of it. It's obviously a long-standing player. It goes along with like your Xavis and Messi, of course. When he eventually retires, it'll be a very similar situation. Iniesta was obviously one of the greats, and he scored the World Cup winning goal, so he's given me a moment as well. He was a great player, a great midfielder, always looked to be a creative mind in the midfield, and it was a nice way to send them off because he ultimately obviously deserves it. He's achieved a lot in his career and not many players will get to his level, I would assume. Now we'll go into a player that I was actually very complimentary of his character and stuff, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I was very complimentary of him and how he goes about his whole demeanour in football, but he really let me down this week. Just roll the clip. How blatant can you get, eh? That's obviously the ugly side of him, and I hate it. It was just plain and obvious what he did, and he got sent off for it, and quite rightly so. I just can't believe that he did it. How can you possibly think you're going to get away with it? I just didn't understand it. Ibrahimovic is a great character on his day, but that was one of his bad days. On to Arsenal now, and they've appointed a new manager, Unai Emery, the ex-PSG manager. I think he was with Sevilla as well, where he won 3 Europa Leagues in a row. Of course he's come with a lot of experience and trophies that he's won and stuff. Arsenal fans really have no reason to not get behind him. Quite a lot of Arsenal fans online think it's just mainly the football Twitter users that don't quite understand the whole hype about him, but I believe he could come in and do a really good job for Arsenal. It does seem that they can only appoint managers that have a similar name to their actual name of the club. Obviously Arsene Wenger, Arsenal, and now they've got Unai Emery, Unai Emirates. So, aye. He's come with a lot of wealth and experience, and I would imagine that he can at least do a decent job for Arsenal. Obviously the recruitment side of things is going to be a massive thing for them. They've been looking for years for a defensive midfielder and good defenders. In attacking areas they're pretty much sorted, but outside of that they really need to shore up in good quality. And now to finish off the normal stories, we're going to go into Hearts, and it was just a small piece. It was really just about how much money they've put into the club and how much loyalty they're obviously showing. It was something like millions of pounds they've put into the club since the club went into administration just a few years ago. Obviously that coincided in them going down to the Championship and then coming back up, and now they're a pretty much established top 6 side, always in that sort of area, and that is largely down to the fact that the fans just keep backing the club and putting money into it, and it obviously shows a great deal of loyalty, and it's just one of the nice stories in football. I just thought I'd include it because it's part of football that doesn't really get focused on a lot, and it really should, because it's one of the brilliant sides of the game that people can show that much loyalty. And as usual here on Punt It Long, we'll go full circle and back to my team Dunfermline. Of course I did a video on it yesterday, spoke of the Nicky Clark to Dundee United news, and it's happened today. Seeing the pictures always makes you feel worse about it, and seeing him in that Dundee United strip just made me feel absolutely sick. I hate Dundee United, and that's not just because of what's happened. I just can't stand Dundee United anyway. We've played them so many times and we can't beat them, and it's so frustrating. It really sickens me that our top scorer for the last 2 seasons has now went to a direct Championship rival. I would have been completely fine with him going to a team like St Johnstone or any Premiership side. Wouldn't have minded at all. There was links with St Mirren and St Johnstone, and I would have been completely fine. But he's went to Dundee United, and that really bothers me. We're now going to come up against him at least 4 times this season, and the dogs abuse that he'll get for the crowd. And that's not just me saying that I'll be going on dogs abuse, because I probably won't. I'm not that type of person. But I know for a fact that there is people that will do that. He's done himself no favours with doing this. He's going to get absolute dogs abuse. It's going to be like the new Scott McDonald at Dundee United. I don't know. It's only a matter of time before Fraser Aird does it. Hope no. And that's it for this week's episode of Punt It Long. Tried to make it a bit quicker this week because I didn't like making them as long as like 10 minutes or anything. Hopefully when I'm editing this it's not actually over 10 minutes, or I'm going to look like a bit of a div now. But that's been it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Comment down below anything about what I've said. Nicky Clark, of course you might have a lot to say about that. I know I've got a lot of Dunfermline fans obviously that follow this page, so get your comments in down below and hit subscribe for more of this type of content. For the next one, I'll see you later. Cheers guys.